Telling secrets.
Actually, I'll leave it like that. That way, if you need to. Hey, Luke, if you need to get our attention, you or Chris, I'll leave this screen crack so you can see us through the window. Oh. It's recording.
Oh, okay. So as for the intro, we'll just introduce ourselves. You want to start?
Yeah, we'll just be kind of cheesy, and then I'm going to cue him whenever to play the video.
Okay.
So you can just kind of make a gesture like that when you see that two shot come up.
Which one's the two shot over here?
That one right there.
So the video will be on, and then it'll be us.
Yeah, and then it'll be us, and
Okay.
you give that, and we'll just start talking. So, I guess whenever you're ready, Luke Dog. I don't know what the hell we're doing. We are up. Is it me?
It's on you.
Just me?
Yep.
Well, this is for real, right?
This is closure.
What's up, everybody? We are here tonight, starting a new podcast. Don't know how this is going to go yet, but I'm here with Jeff Dowden.
We're just winging it.
Just winging it.
Winging it.
So
it's real. It's real.
No, it's for real.
Yeah.
You know, we're keeping it real for y'all.
Are you for real?
Are you for real? I'm for real. Jeff's for real.
I try to be for real.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, so it's funny. I guess first of all, let's do the cheesy part. Introduce ourselves.
Okay.
You know, I'm Bubba Thompson.
Hey, Bubba. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir.
I'm Jeff Dowden.
Jeff Dowden.
Realtor here in Sherman, North Texas.
That's right. Yeah, we're both real estate agents
Yes,
here.
yes.
Yeah, I forgot to say that part, right?
Why are you here?
Yeah, why are you here? That's always fun. So, you know, what's funny is when we started talking about doing this, you know, I put something out there, and I know you were the one of them that came up and said, you know, you might want to do this. And I was like, Jeff, because I watch some of your videos. I love your dry sense of humor.
Oh, okay.
I think that's really what got me, because you like to, you know, think outside the box a little
Yeah.
bit. So, you know, that's why I was like,
Keep
oh,
it real.
yeah. You know,
I'm glad you do. My wife
no,
hates
I
it.
just I like your creativity, authenticity, and that's kind of what I was looking for whenever I was starting this. So,
Okay.
But I wanted to do this because, you know, there's so much boasting and stunning
Stunning. I
realtors
like that.
talk out there, right?
Yeah.
You know, the butterflies and
Yeah.
everything's so sweet and perfect. You
All
know,
the
and
TikToks, just solds, that kind of stuff.
yeah, you
Yeah.
know, and I do that stuff too. You know, like
Well, you have
just
to boast
sold.
a little bit, right?
But you know, I wanted to talk about the real stuff, like
Yeah.
what really happens. You know, I mean, like you and I in our offices behind closed doors, man.
Yeah.
We talk about it. You know, or sometimes with our clients, we're talking about it. They see it, but really, as far as the public, everything looks so pretty,
Yeah.
and it's not.
Yeah.
Right? You know, that's why there's so many people that want to become real estate
Yeah.
agents. Right?
Oh, agreed. Especially during COVID with so much time and
Mhm.
like a lot. I think the license numbers went up like this because it became pretty easy. But
And that's when I was down in Austin, you know, so we got really
Mhm.
kind of hands on down there. Got a lot of people from Trek, you know, that come to some of the meetings and stuff, and they used to say like they're going to make things more difficult,
Yeah.
so there won't be so many agents
okay,
become licensed here, because there was just too many. They were just flooded.
raise the bar a little bit.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't be a terrible thing.
No, and you know, and what you know, one thing that a lot of people don't know is like, do you know what the average agent sells per year?
I think it's like 4 homes. Was
Maybe,
like-
yeah, I think
yeah,
2.
like
At one time, it was 2.
Yeah, the top like 75% sells 4.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I think that was from NAR last year or something
Yeah.
like that. But
Yeah, so those numbers are
Mhm.
pretty. It's just like in any industry, right? I was
maybe
just
we
talking.
need a guy like to fact check us, like Tony Reale.
Yeah,
off
Luke,
the
you fact check this.
pop-up video.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
actually.
Oh, maybe that's what we ought to do in the show. Little
Here you go.
bloop, little bloop.
Yeah.
Maybe
a
I'll
little
put one right here
pop-up
on when I
video.
edit this or something. But yeah, so
According to NAR, the average sales price was.
most, yeah, so
Mhm.
you know, most agents that become agents,
Yeah.
licensed, they fail,
Yeah.
right? What's the stat? I mean, it changes, but
Oh man.
like 80%,
Something like
85% in the first 5 years.
Yeah, I think it's higher than that for the first 2, then 5.
Yeah.
So
So basically, in 5 years, they just shut it down because
Yeah.
you got to renew your license every 2 years,
Yes, correct.
right? So and it's not free, and
No.
then you have to go through your get your credits and all that, and
Yeah.
if you haven't sold anything,
Yeah.
you're thinking,
Yeah, there is
what's the
cost
point?
to do this.
Mhm.
It's not, like you said, it's not free. You got your national dues, your local dues, your state dues. And
Super
not-
key dues.
Yeah, not only that, but you got to carry cost of business. So
Yeah, so it's not cheap. And sometimes those numbers, like we were talking about, selling 2 or 4 a year, the average or whatever. Sometimes those numbers are skewed because some agents join teams,
correct. Yeah.
right? And then whenever that agent actually sells something that's on that team, well, the team leader or whoever is the one that gets all the credit.
Yeah.
I've never understood that.
No, I don't get it either. I mean, if you're getting like on a team, and maybe we're getting a little too deep in the weeds to start here, but like if you're a buyer's agent on a team and you're getting fed leads from the team lead, then as far as like team lead that takes credit for every sale, I don't know. I've had it weirds me out. I'll work with one agent for 30, 45 days, and they're like, "Can you close it?" And so and so's name. I'm like, I never talked to this person. So.
Yeah. Well, and if you ever notice, they're always kind of embarrassed.
Yeah.
Right? Because they wait to the last minute to tell you. So they're a little bit. So I'm like, man, I would never do that to someone. Anyway, I know we're getting off track a little bit.
Let's get as deep as we can in real estate.
I know, but yeah, we want to bore you. That's what we're trying to do. We want to bore you. Anyway, I got some water. Every time I talk too much, I get the.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what you got? What you got going on there?
I got a little. Since we're doing Friday night laid back show, I was like, bust out a little ranch water, a little seltzer.
Little ranch water.
Yeah.
Who makes that one?
This one is by. Is this a plug? Are y'all sponsored on here?
No.
Lone River Ranch Water.
Lone River, is that local?
I don't know. That's from Target. Another plug.
Yeah.
Target, send
Target,
us some money.
If you're looking, Target, come on.
There you
come
go.
on.
30-second ad.
Yeah. So anyway,
This
so back
segment brought to you by
brought to you by. Yeah, we do need some sponsors, by the way. So
Target, if you're listening.
Target, yeah. But anyway, so back to what we were talking about. Starting this podcast. Just something. We just want to keep it real. And, that's one of the names we were tossing around.
Yeah,
we put it out there to a public vote, and that's how we came up with "Are You for Real?" But keeping it real is kind of the really what we're intending to do.
Well,
here.
and I think, and we can get into this maybe later with like the pet peeve segment we're gonna do. But I think it's become such a glamorized profession. It's like selling Sunset or Sir Hant or whoever, or TikTok, Instagram.
Yeah.
It's like there's so much muck before you get to that. So.
Oh yeah, I mean you got to get in the mud, you got to get in the dirt, you got to get dirty, you got to lose a lot.
Oh yeah.
Right before you get there. So I mean, what made you get into real estate?
I was a GM of a pizzeria here locally, and I just kind of as me and another guy were kind of if I wasn't working in GM and he was, and I just kind of got to a point where I was like. I was a self-starter anyway, and I was in my early 30s. I'm like, I'm not going to retire doing this. So it's like, what can I do, And I always had an affinity for, like, law and contracts and real cool stuff.
The boring stuff?
Yeah. So, obviously, in my 30s, I was like, well, I'm going to go become a lawyer. No.
Yeah.
So I was looking at, like, maybe being a paralegal, doing something online. Then that's kind of, one of my favorite shows at the time was Modern Family. Which Phil Dunphy, we all know and love, and I was like, this looks fun, So, kind of dove into that a little bit, and just, I was like, I'll, do the licensing, see how it goes, and if it's something that I like, But it was kind of didn't take too long to get into because I didn't want 4-year university or something in my 30s, so kind of jumped in and did that, and kind of fell in love with it, and it's the adrenaline rush here and there when you're doing well, and a lot of highs and lows, but.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean,
for sure.
It's definitely it's a roller coaster. I always tell people it's a huge roller coaster, and you just got to be ready for it. I mean, you have to really mentally be prepared for it.
Yeah.
Right. And you're not working on salary.
No,
just because you show up doesn't mean you're getting paid.
Yeah, you're working for free most of the time.
Yeah. I come from sales background, so I'm used to straight commission. So there was.
You didn't get paid till.
Yeah, I mean you get paid when you sell something, right? And but the reason why I like commission based type because I like to hustle, and so I can make as much as I want.
Well, there's not a cap,
No, there's no cap,
and that's kind of where I was. I was like, I can't go any further doing this. So if I'm going to be my own boss, so to speak, then I'm going to go get paid based on how it works, as opposed to.
You have to have a lot of faith in yourself, right? To do this.
Yeah. No, and some, that's.
I mean, there's some.
That's a mental test every day. Sometimes, but,
it really is. It's like, shoot, am I worthy enough? Can I do this? Right? Sometimes. So
for sure.
But that's the fun part, I guess. Sometimes. But there's always put people in two different categories, right? So you have your 9-to-5ers and you have your entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And it can kind of overlap a little bit.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying that's if you work a 9-to-5 job, that's all you're going to do the rest of your life. But there are some people that can't do. They need someone to go, hey, go do this.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's what you're going to get paid, and you're done
They
at 5 o'clock. You're done.
Their next paycheck comes from, like, I don't know if you're a fan of the show Friends, but when one
Oh,
episode where Joey and he's like, I admire you how you can, like, not. It's kind of insulting, but Ross had to know, whereas and this is true. It's two personality types like that.
Pivot. So fun fact is, Friends is on our TV every night.
Okay.
That's like the background noise in our bedroom at night. Kind of like, okay, that's when the end of the night is, and a friend comes on. And it just plays all night.
That's
not all night, but
it's relaxing.
Yeah, it's just kind of in the background. I
Yeah,
don't ever
familiar.
watch it, but I've watched every one of them. That was the only, besides The Simpsons, probably the only TV show that I would watch.
Yeah.
Like on a Thursday night.
Okay.
right?
No Seinfeld?
Huh?
Seinfeld?
No, I wasn't into Seinfeld. Now I like Seinfeld.
We went back to Seinfeld.
Yeah,
Okay.
the reruns.
Mm-hmm.
But when it was actually on air, I didn't watch it.
Okay.
I was a Simpsons person or a Friends.
Yeah.
So.
Well, what brought you into real estate?
I think most of it was the freedom.
Yeah.
Right. I wanted the freedom to be my own boss type deal. Right. And I saw that was a way that I could use my creativity, like marketing side.
Okay.
Yeah. And make a living.
Yeah.
And kind of do it on my own. I think it was mostly the freedom.
Okay.
Or I could say, like everybody else says, I love showing houses.
Yeah. Well, you show 3, and then in the end they pick one, right?
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Always. Yeah.
Exactly
it's usually it's which one. You don't know which one.
No.
But it's gonna be one of those 3.
Yeah. You just go to commercial break.
Yeah.
And you come back.
Yeah.
Then we make $100,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Right. So, but yeah, I think it was the free. I mean, the money's good. There's, that's there. But once again, if you don't sell anything, you don't make any money. But yeah, I think it mostly was the freedom.
Yeah.
Of doing it.
Did you know there was freedom, or did somebody steer you towards it, or?
No, I mean,
I should be careful using that word in a real estate.
Yeah,
podcast,
steering. Yeah.
Let's
I guess I had friends that were in real estate. My wife and her dad, custom home builders.
Okay.
So I had knew that background. He always wanted to put me under his wing and and take over the business, but that it didn't excite me as much.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot. With them. Like my wife built a house like that.
Okay.
I mean, she's pretty sharp as far as she designs houses and all kinds of stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just gives you a lot of insight.
Yeah. So that was a lot of insight there as far as that goes, and then just having friends that were brokers.
Okay.
Laney was a friend of mine
Before.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's who I. And what's funny is I didn't when I first started studying to become a real estate agent. I was actually
for Karen out there. What is it off Shameless? For Trish out there, Laney Ramsey's a local broker here.
Oh yeah, Laney Ramsey, local broker, homes by Laney.
Was it not Shameless, but
Shame.
The one on with Jason Bateman, they start getting too in the weeds with
Oh, you talking about where the 3 guys?
Yeah.
We just watched that. Where they're on tour now.
Yeah.
My wife knows
on
that
HBO.
one. Yeah, Bateman's one of her favorites.
Smarts.
Yeah.
But they get to talking about Hollywood stuff, and they stop and they're like, for Sean's wife in mom in Wisconsin, Trish, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah, this is
so
what
Laney Ramsey's a local.
Yeah, she's a local broker here. Anyway, so she was a friend of ours, and so just talking to her and everything, I just thought it was kind of a cool thing. But what's funny is I wasn't actually, when I was studying, I wasn't actually going to go with her. I was going to actually go with Keller Williams.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
because,
Keller Williams is kind of the
and she came
first stop
from
for
them.
a lot of
yeah,
realtors.
because the thing is, they have a lot of training,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
That's why. And even Lainey told me that, like,
Yeah.
they do. And so I interviewed with them. I was going through the whole thing, but then when it got down to it, I was like, man, that's not for me. It was
Yeah.
too corporate, and it's
Okay.
not what I was looking for. It didn't have the freedom.
Yeah, your freedom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up joining Lainey,
Okay.
and that was back in 2016.
Okay. So
when I started.
I was 15, so we're pretty much 10 years in then.
Mhm.
So okay.
And what's cool about this, about you and I doing this, is we don't really know each other
No, just
Right?
through social media. Yeah.
through social media and maybe here and there seeing each other in real estate, but as personally, we don't know each other, and that's kind of like when I started. I wanted us not to get to know each other too much.
Yeah.
We can learn about each other right here.
Yeah.
Because if we told all of our stories, we may not
Yeah.
tell them here.
Then
So
they kind of feel like forced or canned.
yeah,
Then it would be like we're best buds doing inside jokes, and so
and then no one else gets
yeah.
it. Right, those inside jokes.
Yeah.
So if we have any inside jokes, Jeff will fill you in
For
on.
Trish in Wisconsin.
Yes. So I got little notes here
Okay.
of what we're supposed to be kind of talking about. So, and I think we did pretty good.
Yeah.
Right? We went through, why we got into
Yeah.
to real estate.
Well, I know you a lot better now.
Huh?
I know you a lot better
Yeah.
now.
See.
Avid Friends fan, Bubba Thompson.
Yes, that's it. A lot of people don't know that, right?
Who's not though? I mean, if something's wrong with you if you don't like Friends.
Yeah. What did it go for 10 years?
Yeah.
It was like one of the most watched shows or whatever. So yeah, Seinfeld. But like you said, Seinfeld, I wasn't
Yeah.
a huge fan, but I am now.
Mm-hmm.
The Office.
Office is great.
Same thing. Never watched it when it was on air, but the
Yeah.
reruns now, I'll watch it. We don't watch a lot of TV, but
Yeah.
but if like I said, in the evening sometimes
Yeah.
it comes on. I'm one of those people that have to have background noise.
Okay.
I can't
Yeah.
do silence.
So what are you doing with the background noise? You probably on the computer doing the MLS.
It's just anything.
Yeah.
But I have to have it music,
Mm-hmm.
something in the background.
Oh yeah.
If it's too quiet,
Yeah. It gets kind of weird. Doesn't
yeah,
It? Mm-hmm.
and I'm getting
Yeah.
too much in my head. I guess I don't know. Yeah, just there's a lot going on up
Yeah.
here, right? So anyway,
Which explains the shirt. Realtors need closure.
yeah. So
We're getting
realtors need closure.
This is actually a therapy session. So
Yes, that means a lot. Actually, a buddy of mine, Jason Pearson.
Okay.
Here's another plug, shameless. The Pearson Group Title Company down in McKinney, Texas.
Okay.
So he gave me these shirts. So
I like it.
I just thought I'd wear it.
Yeah.
And there you go, buddy.
It's a double entendre.
Yeah,
So
give me a
need closure and closure. So.
enclosure and closure. Yep. So I think that was the intention of that. Anyway, so we've been in the real estate game about the same time.
Yeah.
So we
Before it got too easy, but it still
Yeah.
wasn't too hard. We weren't in the 07 bubble. So
no,
yeah.
but we had the COVID.
Yeah, we did that with COVID.
There, everybody always talks about COVID, and I was like, that's so long ago, but
Mm-hmm.
but still, it's
Feels
one
like
of those
yesterday.
things. Like
Yeah.
it happened.
Mhm.
We were. I was working here, and we had started a team down in Austin,
Okay.
and that's where I was at when COVID hit, and they were real strict down
Oh, I
there,
bet, yeah.
dude. I mean, it was a ghost town.
Yeah.
It was wild. It
Yeah.
was weird. I did a video about it. I mean, it was just so eerie and how
Mhm.
quiet it was. And as a family, we thought, all right, what are we gonna do, right?
Mhm.
So we tightened up everything.
Yeah.
And, as far as financially, it's like, okay,
Oh, yeah.
don't
Yeah.
do not, because I don't know what's gonna happen.
I mean, I think a lot of us thought, people weren't going to buy homes or.
Yeah. Well, you couldn't show homes down there.
Yeah.
We couldn't do open houses.
Yeah.
You
You
know,
had to have the hazmat suits.
you had the hazmat suits on.
How many things did you have to have signed just to go into a house?
Oh, yeah,
And
it was
like,
nuts.
yeah. So.
Dude, my wife, it's for the mask and everything. Like you were supposed to wear
Mhm.
a mask, and nobody had them at first.
Yeah.
So she sewed or sewed
Soon.
soon
Yeah.
a mask, and I still have it. So it looks like one of these. I don't know. It's funny looking. I'm going to keep it though, because it's going to be one of those things in like
Yeah.
100 years. Someone's going to see this mask. Oh my God, this is back in COVID.
Yeah.
2020.
There'll be a
Somebody
relic.
they had to sew their
Yeah.
own mask. But anyway, it's kind of
Of
cool.
course,
Anyway,
we all had to brand ours because that's what we do.
yeah,
you know?
eventually, everybody got all the branding done. But yeah, so
Bubba Thompson Real Estate across your.
yeah, just with the teeth. Remember, everybody was doing the teeth and all that, or the beards.
Yeah.
Remember
yeah.
the beards,
Oh,
or
yeah.
you could get them to match your face,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Print it out. Anyway, but yeah, we didn't know what what the hell was going to happen.
No.
And then all of a sudden, dude, it just went nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy. And then everybody kind of saw that happening. Everybody's like, oh, I want to be a real estate agent.
Yeah. Well, and so many people were on a forbearance or working from home, so they had all this extra time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, oh, he's doing it. And then
Yeah.
that really kind of blew social media up as well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of when the whole like reels and TikToks and you kind of started having all that infiltrate.
Yeah.
I mean, before it was just like your standard like walkthrough video. You remember?
Yeah. Yeah. And we still do a lot. You and I were talking about that. Like, man, I'm still trying to think of something that's different. I'm always looking for something different. I hate following the crowd. Because I think you get lost in the crowd. Yeah. So.
Well, you end up, chasing the dragon, so to speak.
Yeah. And so, like right now in this career, like I'm in that, like, what do I want to do next?
Yeah.
Like, what is the next thing? What's, the attention grabber? How can I help my client sell their house or, attract a buyer client or things like that. So, that's the boring stuff. We said we weren't going to talk about stuff like that, and here we are.
So what do you use as your editor? Are you a CapCut or Adobe? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, it depends.
Trish in Wisconsin, this is industry of like use for video editing and whatnot. So.
And I get asked all the time. What do you? I mean, that is a question. Like,
my wife was watching yours the other day, and she's like, "What did you use?" I'm like, "I think that's cell phone and CapCut." But
it's either if you'll notice on mine, if it's an overlay or something, there's CapCut.
Yeah.
If it's straight transitions, it's probably right in. If
Just
I'm in Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, I'm editing right inside there.
Okay.
Because and the reason why I do that is because I feel like there was a time it seemed like when you went to CapCut. Put it on Facebook, like Facebook didn't like it.
Yeah.
Right? It just, but
I think the algorithm likes it when you make it in there.
Inside there, yeah. So that's why I usually do it in there. And plus, I can do it faster.
Yeah.
Like when I'm doing one, if I'm at an event or something, I do it right then.
Right
I'll go sit out in my car, or if I have a place to sit down, I'll edit the video.
So you're fun at parties, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm a blast.
There's Bubba.
Yeah. Where's Bubba at? He's over there. Oh, he's gaming, texting on his phone, Facebooking. No, I'm editing videos.
But it's like you said, the faster you get it out, it's in the moment. And
yeah, I like for whatever I'm doing to be people still be in the ether of the moment.
Of course.
Like if I have all this high end equipment, which is, the look of it is way better. Yeah. But it takes a lot more time.
Yeah. But I mean, do you need, a professional video shot for a chamber event?
No, people just want to see what's happening. As long as you can create that story. And the feeling, if you can take what's on that video, give it to someone, and they have that same feeling, that's the point. Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect.
It's got a cycle, it's life cycle. So get it out, good enough done, right?
Good enough done. 15 seconds of fame.
There you go.
Yeah.
Andy Warhol said that, didn't he?
I don't know who said it.
It's true. It ended up being true. Everybody's getting their 15 seconds now.
Yeah.
Some people making millions of dollars with it. So
that's it. So, what we're going to start doing during the show, we're going to end up having guests. So if you want to be a guest on here, be sure to message us. We're going to have, what are we going to start out with? We're going to start out with red flags?
Yeah, I think red flags is a good place to start because that kind of, we can kind of be a little more, less catty, more informative with that one maybe. So
this is going to be what we call our red flag segment.
Okay.
Music. So, I don't know if you were prepared. I don't know if I was.
I tried to prepare.
Oh, you did? I really didn't.
I tried to prepare for everything.
I prepared the notes, but I didn't prepare.
Oh, you didn't get your flags together?
The answers. So I'm just going to wing it, Okay. So, but I'll ask you, in real, what's a red flag for you? I mean, this could be like, for a buyer, seller, or a house that you're looking at, or whatever. What's a red flag for you that you would tell your clients? Or
well, I'll start with one that happened recently. I'm showing an investor client right now down in Denton, and we put a handful of showings together, trying to you know how it is, trying to overlap them.
Oh yeah,
you're like six, 7, 8 showings in a 5-hour span,
and then you're jumping between showing time, broker bay, and or calling the agent.
And a lot of times with investor clients too, it's it's a list for service or something. So now you're trying to reach Freedom Realty that's actually this guy. So it's just
it's a mess.
It can be a nightmare. But they sent me one that's MLS photos, just one like Google exterior photo, and I told them, I'm like, and mapping out the showings, I'm like, you know what? I forgot to, because it's their family. I'm like, I forgot to schedule in a lunch for us because we're going from like 10 to 3. And I'm like, you know what? I bet during this one we can go eat lunch. They're like, why do you say that? I'm like, well, it's one photo. It's been under contract, came back out. I'm like, I bet it's a dump. I bet it's a trap house. So sure enough, we walk in, like we're there 2.5 minutes. The walls are falling in. It's missing subfloor. And they're like, you called it. So red flag out there is usually, especially if you're looking at investment properties, if it's just one photo, like be prepared to see the interior of the house just be complete trash.
Yeah, and so, you know, kind of keeping in the same context, a red flag that I see when I'm looking at photos, residential-wise, is if you're seeing the interior photos first, you can bet money there's something about the exterior
that you don't want to see.
Yeah, either the agent or the homeowner doesn't want you to see at first. It's not the attractive part.
Yeah.
They're putting you to the most attractive part, which, you know, whatever it is, the kitchen or whatever, instead of the exterior.
Sometimes it's just a
so that's
stairwell. You're like,
so if you have to click through all that, and then the last photos are your exteriors, you're going,
photo 32 is the exterior.
Yeah, it's all the paint peeled off, you know, or fire burnt hazard outside.
Fire burnt hazard.
Yeah, so that's one of my. I was keeping it in the same context.
Okay,
so
that's a good one.
But I can go a little different if you want. I just thought of one.
I would love to hear it.
You know, so like, you know, you go look at these investment properties or properties that have been flipped. Okay. You know, they're flippers, right? So it's been remodeled. The first thing I do when I walk into one of these houses is I go to the kitchen and underneath the sink, and I open up the cabinet.
Okay.
I want to look at the plumbing.
Yeah.
To see what was done. And if it's that accordion stuff, right, then I know, like, then I start looking hard at everything else. Yeah. I go to the panels, just everything. Right?
See, I usually go to the panel first. That's so we're same mindset, different.
Yeah, same thing. So the panel. So I always hit but I always do that kitchen and open up those. Well, you know, they're looking. I just go straight to it and just open it, and then I'll know, like, okay.
Yeah. What did they do? You know.
Yeah, I mean, if they cheaped out here, you know, because they couldn't align it correctly, then they didn't take the time to do that, and that's very visible. What's behind the walls?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, did they put enough insulation in? Is it wired correctly? Yeah. Right. And then that's when you go and look at the panels. Right. I mean, we can't pop off the panels or anything and look behind there.
No, but I mean, you do it as long as we have. You get a general sense, like when the panels upgraded, labeled properly. You're like, okay, this has probably been permitted and green tagged. You know. So.
Yep. And that's another, when I look at the panels too, I look at the top of panel as well, you know, because we've been taught, we're not electricians, but
we have around enough electricians.
Yeah. We have ideas. We've done enough inspections. And so,
which kind of could give me another red flag. This one's kind of, to all the dads out there, but a red flag for realtors is when the buyer's dad comes to the inspection. So, So if the house was built before, let's say 1990. Yeah. And it's a first-time buyer, and they bring their dad with them. Just be prepared for
you're done.
Yeah.
We used to call that third baseman.
Okay.
In the car business. Yeah. Third baseman. So, third baseman, they're always going to. Yeah. It didn't matter. They want to feel like they're doing something. Right? So they're going to give their 2 cents. Yeah. Whether it's right or wrong. You know, and I get it. You know, the dad or whoever is trying to protect, you know, whatever. But sometimes they're just.
Oh, and I 100%, when I have a client, I'm like, I want, you know, you get to a point where there's too many cooks in the kitchen. Yep. But at the same time, you want that person, because especially a first-time buyer, it's their biggest investment. It's a 30-year loan, typically. You want them to feel comfortable. So if having their dad come look at the house is what makes them feel comfortable. But more times than not, they end up arguing, like the dad anyway. But they, man, I'll tell you, I got stories, and I'm sure every one of us does, but they almost take it personal. Like the person that did this house was doing it to screw them over. Yeah. Yeah, they'd be like, what do you mean they did put a screw in this junction panel or the panel the way it's supposed to be? And it's like, man, we could go to Lowe's right now and spend $1.59 and fix that. But, you know, so, but yeah, I mean, it's personal. Yeah. For sure. So.
And sometimes, just kind of keep going with that. Personal, like sometimes sellers, they get a little, if somebody's looking, if they didn't like something, if they didn't like the curtain or something, they take it personal. I'm like, this is going to end up being like a business transaction, for the seller. The buyer's totally different, right? They need to be more emotional because it is their house, right? So they're putting a lot into it. But as a seller, we can't, those emotions, we have to calm them down. And that's part of our job too, is to,
Well, I think that's, and then there's, a huge segment of the population. It's like, why do I need a realtor, or why do that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, you got two people that haven't met, making a huge transaction. And, it is, I try to tell people in a transaction, like, they're not the enemy. We have the same goal, so it's, take the emotion out of it as much as possible.
Yeah.
You can't to an extent, but.
Speaking of emotion, you're scared of your mic. Can you put your mic up a little bit?
Not too far away.
Yeah, maybe. So anyway, that's our little red flag.
Is that better?
Segment. Yeah, I think so. We didn't do the headsets here, because we want to make it more, authentic here, like chit chatting.
Well,
but sometimes
I'll move around. I'll probably bump it away.
No, I know that's what happens though. It's all good. So anyways, that's our red flag moment, and we'll do that. So what we're going to do is when we have guests on here, we're going to have them give us their 3 red flags, right?
Absolutely.
So we're going to have, just people from different industries on here, not necessarily real estate agents, but we'll have just different people, and we want to know what their red flags are. Because these red flags, it's something, we're talking about them, but they also, for these people out here watching, it may help them with buying a house or whatever it is they're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Some
and
red
by all
flags.
means, bring your dad to the inspection. I'm just
but they are.
Unless it was built before 1990.
Yeah.
Stay home, Dad.
Yeah. Oh God.
What do you mean this house is only 2-prong wiring?
Yeah. So anyway, that's the red flag moment. Once again, I said that. So anyway, why did we start this podcast?
Well, I think it was kind of your brainchild. I'll tell you my two cents of why I think it's good is kind of what we talked about. I think real estate as a whole, we've kind of gone through turbulent times in the last few years with different reasons. I think it's become, you're selling sunset, your $1 million listings, and, put a sign in the yard, sell a house, et cetera, et cetera. So it's kind of fun to peel back the layer, and to see what it actually is, what's really happening. Kind of like, I know one of the things we talked about pre-show was like everybody's saying, like, marry the house, date the rate.
Yeah,
it's just so easy to put these
how's that working?
Yeah, and everybody's got to put their 10-second video out. You can't break down how a refi works in that framework, So I get, but it's not that. That's not what real estate is. So
no,
that's why I think something like this is kind of fun, but important too.
And I've been, personally, before I even got into real estate, buying, selling real estate, and I've had some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I had a house. I don't know. I don't even know where to start. I think every house I bought, there was something crazy about it. I remember, like, for instance, my very first house we bought in McKinney.
Okay. What year was this?
That was in 99.
Did you take your dad to the inspection?
No. I don't even know if I did an inspection. I think we did.
Did you have a realtor? Did they tell you not to do an inspection?
No, I think we did. Yeah, my realtor was great. He helped us move furniture and the whole 9 yards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he was good. Shout out to Jason. Matter of fact, he owns the title company.
Okay,
That's right. I forgot about that.
There you
Jason
go.
Pearson. Yes.
So this is a long-standing one.
Yeah. Well, so before that, my first piece of property, my land that I bought in Pottsboro, I don't even know what year that was. I was 23, 24, somewhere around in there.
Okay.
His dad was my realtor.
Okay.
Helped me buy it and sell it. So that's kind of how that started.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so the house that we bought in McKinney, we only lived there about a year, and then we're building a house in Sherman. So we're selling that house within 1 year. We assumed, all right, here's what we're going to make and all that good stuff. we didn't realize until we got to the closing table,
Mm-hmm.
capital gains taxes,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So we didn't understand that, didn't know about it.
Yeah.
You know.
You just look on there like, what's this little fee to Uncle Sam there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't disclosed, and
Mm-hmm.
because I think we got the that's why we thought we were taking home so much money.
Yeah.
Not that it was a lot, but taking home money, whatever the amount was, it was because the disclosure that we got didn't have it on there.
Okay.
Right, from the title company,
Yeah.
you get one, but when we were actual closing table
Mm-hmm.
is when it was brought up, and we were like, oh man,
That's
dude, that hurt.
That's an interesting time to learn about that.
Yeah. So that kind of hurt. That
Yeah.
was our first, big experience.
So
as
what'd
far
you
as
do? Did you sign
no,
still?
oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
Call the whole thing.
the
off.
house was being
Yeah.
built, so we were done. We were ready
Mhm.
to get into the new house.
Yeah.
So anyway, we did all right, I guess. We didn't lose everything to get rid of it, but
Yeah.
it didn't help.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, it kind of sucked.
Yeah.
So my first experience in real estate, as far as a house, residential house,
Was getting took by the government.
yeah, exactly right. So then I was like, oh, okay. So I've always kept that one in the back of my head.
And then your second experience in real estate was having to pay a 1099 tax.
Yeah.
As a 1099 employee.
Yeah.
Like, you go, what? How
Oh,
much?
Oh yeah, when we first got in the real estate,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
because I mean, yeah, it was nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then that the house I was telling you about that we built, it was, oh my God, trying to think of what was weird about that. I don't know. There was something weird about it, and I forget what it is, but there was something weird about buying that
Yeah.
new house.
The new one you bought in
The
Sherman?
the new construction. I don't know what was
Okay,
weird
yeah.
about it. So when you buy new construction,
Mm-hmm.
right? So your taxes, right? You're only taxed on the lot.
On the unimproved land, yeah.
Yeah, the unimproved lot. So the taxes were nothing.
Yeah.
And then of course, a year later,
Mm-hmm.
you get hammered with the
So-
taxes. Yeah, then your
Yeah.
payments go up.
Pretty substantially, so.
Yeah. So that's something a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
They don't comprehend that at first, I guess.
No.
Or it's not explained to them actually, I guess.
Yeah, and it's not a real estate 101, if you will. That's
Mhm.
pretty in depth with, diving into it.
Yeah, it's just something a little different. If you don't know to ask the question, then it's probably
Mhm.
not going to get
Yeah,
relayed to you sometimes.
yeah. And as a realtor, sometimes you do it so much that you're like, almost need to like slow down and be like, okay, let
Mhm.
me walk you through and explain, because not everybody knows what a capital gains tax is.
No.
So,
And every deal's different, man.
Yeah.
You know that as well as I do. It's not a
and
cookie
for
cutter
Trish in
thing.
Wisconsin, capital gains tax is if you sell
Yeah.
your home and
Mhm.
within 2 years you pay
Hmm.
tax on what you
The gain, yeah,
make. So
and it's the amount. If you're married, single, the amounts are different. 250, 500, I think, or that
something
changed.
like that.
I think it's changed now, but anyway, something like that. So
Yeah.
I always got to be careful on that. Another crazy thing that happened to me one time. This was in 2008, I guess. When
Mm-hmm.
basically shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
We were trying to sell our house and was having trouble selling it. And then had this fly by night realtor come by. I was doing for sale by owner.
Okay.
So this realtor comes by and says, "Oh, I can get you a buyer if you'll let me, assign the little thing where he could go out and market it in the
Yeah.
newspaper."
Mm-hmm. The newspaper. Oh man.
So anyway, so he did, and he found me a buyer.
Yeah.
Right. So and we'd found us a house, so we're going to the new house, and so I got a buyer, and the buyer's like, everything's cool, and that real estate agent, yeah, he's going to put down so much, and actually he's going to earnest money. He's putting $25,000 down. So I was like, cool. So he wanted to move in early.
Oh, okay. Nothing could go wrong with that.
I was like, cool,
Yeah.
that's fine, Well, he moves in, and so I'm calling the title company, figuring out when we're going to close, and calling this realtor, and he's like, well, I'm just waiting on this and that. So finally I tracked down the title company.
Which is another red flag. And everybody's like, hey, we're just waiting on this.
Mm-hmm.
We had a hiccup, just waiting on this. Like,
Yep.
Okay.
Something's going on because they don't tell you both sides, right? They're
No.
trying, confidentiality stuff,
Yeah.
fiduciary duties.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get the full story sometimes.
Yeah.
So I wasn't getting the full story. But what I did find out is that the title company never received that 25 grand.
Okay.
So then we started hounding this guy, like, where's the money? Oh, he was on a plane trip, left the money in a magazine.
Okay.
You know, that was a red flag. Somebody tells you they left the money in an envelope in a magazine on an airplane, red flag.
Yeah. It's
So I knew something was
exactly how it's allowed to be delivered to title. Is
Yeah.
in an envelope and
yeah. So I knew something was up. So I started digging pretty deep on this guy, trying to figure out who he was, and found out this wasn't his first rodeo on this. So he was in my house. So it wasn't like a few days. This is going on for a while. This dude hooked up a water softener through Culligan.
Okay.
Had an electrician out there that did, I think, $1,100 worth of electrical work out on the patio, putting in lights, ceiling fans. Had a plumber come out, install new toilets. And there was something else, but I happened to know the plumber. My sister and I went to school with him, so I got his called him. Was like, hey, what's going on here? He goes, yeah, I don't know. He goes, but the guy never paid him. Electrician never got paid. Culligan water never got paid, and there was cases of water there. It was really weird.
Yeah.
I ended up getting into the house. I mean, there was a washer, dryer there. There was lawnmowers. There was weed eater, all brand new stuff. But not really moved in.
Yeah.
Like there was like refrigerator and stuff, but there wasn't like, not like you move in closet full. There was a bed on the ground. There were some clothes in the closet. It was weird. Like I never saw the guy personally, but
what was his angle? What was he trying to do?
He was a squatter.
Okay.
So anyway, I had a friend of ours, neighbors. This was out in the country,
Yeah.
but anyway, she works for the sheriff's department, and so I ended up contacting her. They already had a warrant out for his arrest for hot checks and things like that. But he had done this to 3 other people.
Okay.
Just going and squatting in houses.
It's pretty elaborate. I mean, it's
pretty
title
wild.
companies involved.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's pretty
Yeah.
wild. I don't know whatever happened to the guy. I know he never showed back up to the house.
Yeah.
We ended up moving everything out and securing
It kind of
everything.
reminds me how they like go on and like you'll have a listing
Uh-huh.
and they'll clone it and put it on like Facebook Marketplace
Mhm.
for like rent or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
And you can do a deposit now, with like Zelle and all that, Venmo. Everybody like, hey, go ahead and deposit here, Venmo.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. You can't come look at it until you send a
Yeah.
application fee and it's $200. I don't know, whatever, but
Yeah.
everybody's scamming.
Everybody's out there trying to pull one over on
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Well, it works for a lot of people, I guess, but
Yeah, I mean, I got more crazy stories. There's something that went on now, of the Facebook scams,
yeah.
where I don't know, it's wild what
Yeah.
people do for a
Well, I
couple
did see
bucks.
the one in the news where the lady was paying Brad Pitt in France. Did you see that one? You have to Google this one. I don't know the whole story, but apparently she was in an online relationship with Brad Pitt, and he
No,
was,
that's exactly what I was going to tell you. I know someone personally
Mhm. Yeah.
that just went through. I
Mhm.
mean, just went through
Yeah.
all that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Even to the point, it was so crazy. Like she called me
Mm-hmm.
and was wanting me to show them houses because this person was wanting to buy a house in this area and already knew kind of like I was
Yeah.
explaining like this is not real,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, but the
Yeah.
emotions were involved and couldn't do anything about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It was a Nigerian prince.
yeah.
He had
There was
$2 million US.
there was a dude when I was in the car business,
Yeah.
and he got one of those letters,
Uh-huh.
right? And he sent them like 5-10 grand. I forget. It was like 10 grand.
Okay.
Anyway, so we're sitting in the office one day, and he brings in these stack of folders,
Mhm.
what we call deal folders, because each car you sold, you had to put a deal together, and it was
Yeah.
in folders. He brought like 20 of them
Mm-hmm.
to the desk, and I was like, what is this for? He's like, oh, these are all the deals. When this guy gets there, gives her the money, he wants to buy these
Yeah.
20 cars. And I'm like, dude, that stuff's not real. And it was back when they just did the emails. It
Yeah,
wasn't on
yeah.
social media.
Yeah.
It was before social media. It was the emails, but it was the Nigerian prince.
Uh-huh.
He has, $5 million or whatever the money was coming.
Yeah.
And he's, if you'll help him out with this because he needs to pay for
Yeah.
this, and then he'll send you the,
Yeah.
1 million or whatever it was. I mean, it was just
Oh, man.
the dumbest thing.
Yeah.
And this dude fell for it, put all this stuff together, sent the guy 10 grand.
He thought he was about to sell the lot, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
it's weird, but yeah, those people are out there.
Yeah.
You know, they do it every day. There's people that, title companies right now, like, wire transfers.
Oh yeah.
You know, you got to watch out
Have
for
you had
those.
anybody get burned on that?
No. I've heard the stories.
I had one that was I was the listing agent,
Yeah.
and I'll leave all the parties out of it, but we got a call that
Mm-hmm.
the buyer had wired funds. It was like 30 something thousand,
Yeah.
and we were supposed to close in like 3 or 4 days. And of course, call the agent. I'm like, "Did you talk to them before?" Called the title company. They're like, "No, we didn't talk to them." I'm like,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, luckily his dad ended up gifting him, and he was able to close on it. But it was on the news and everything else. But
He wrote a letter.
yeah, I think they tried to get the FBI involved, but it
Yeah.
had been like 3 or 4 days at that point, so it's just kind of like it's gone, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, and it's one of those things too. As a realtor, you kind of like assume that people know,
Yeah.
and it's like very prominent now. But at the time when it first started kind of happening, it was like you always tell your buyers, do not wire, sellers too, do not wire unless you talk to me or the title. And even if you talk to the title, sometimes call me.
Yeah, I always
Just-
say also call me and
Yeah.
we'll just verify, because I mean you just don't know.
Mhm.
I mean there's so many ways that they can trick you into. I mean some of that stuff, man, is legit.
Oh yeah,
I mean looking, but
and it's like now with like AI and the like
Mhm.
voice changing.
oh yeah, the voice, yeah,
So,
that's scary.
mhm.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
they can do that stuff quick.
We're about to go back to snail mail, man. Like,
Mhm. I know, right?
send that in the mail.
Yeah.
Letter
Walk it over.
3 days later.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I've had people
Yeah.
not even pay earnest money, option money,
Mhm.
when you're under contract.
Yeah.
And what they don't really realize is when they don't pay that option money
Yeah.
and you've got a signed, executed contract, you're
Mhm.
still under contract,
Yeah. Yeah.
even though you wrote, termination
Yeah.
and during the option period. Well, you never,
Mm-hmm.
you failed your option period.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
You know,
I
you-
want to send in a require request. Require re.
Yeah, repressed.
Repair request. Butchered that one, but
Yeah.
yeah, and you're like, oh man, you didn't put option money down in time, so
Yeah, we could go on
yeah.
days and days about that. So, speaking about all this, what are some of well, before I get there,
Okay.
we're going during the regular shows when we start this, we're gonna have a segment called the pet peeves. What are your pet peeves
So we got
segment?
red flags is kind of what to watch out for. Now, pet peeves are what kind of
Yeah.
bothers us. So to
Yeah,
speak.
what kind of bothers us, and we'll ask these questions to the to our guests as well whenever they come on here. And
Yeah.
I think I've got a few. But what are some of your pet peeves?
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
I'll go with the one that I sent you the other day.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so now it's a thing, and it's probably been for a while, but
Yeah.
realtors have team members.
Mm-hmm.
So the minute you get an executed contract and you send it in, and
Yeah.
next thing you know, so-and-so's, hey, we need this and this, and then I got an email the other
Yeah.
day that was like, hey, make sure you CC. So I'm already talking to the second assistant
Yeah.
of this realtor.
So now you got the realtor.
So I don't even
assistant.
think I'll talk to the realtor
Yeah.
again. I'm on.
They passed it
I'm on
on.
assistant 2.
Yeah.
But now assistant 2 sends an email like, be sure to CC our transaction coordinator
Yeah. So
on the email. I'm like, I don't even know who this person is. Like,
yeah. So you got three
so
people.
I don't know. So pet peeve of mine is like, I'm a solo agent. I
Mm-hmm.
pretty much handle
Same
everything.
thing. Yeah.
And so like when I don't mind transaction coordinator, and I got to talk to your
Yeah.
assistant.
Yeah.
I'm like, who am I want to send it to the realtor that I talk to first, and
Mm-hmm.
let them send it down the pipeline. Like, it shouldn't be my job to send it down your pipeline. So
Yeah. I mean, it should be like a one-on-one.
mm-hmm.
And that's probably one of my pet peeves too, and that goes for the lending side too.
Lending,
title.
Yeah.
And so, like, if I'm dealing with you, I want to deal with you.
Yeah.
You can copy your other people on there, if you want, but I mean,
Yeah.
I like it, and I think as far as like a customer as well,
Mhm.
clients. I mean, it's like they're dealing with you, Jeff.
Yeah.
They don't want to deal with
Well, I mean,
6 other your
and we're
people.
not, white glove service or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
we're hired because either we've gain trust with them, or they know us, or
no like and trust. I always say that.
So it's like if we're passing you down to whoever, you know, so at some point you're just a transaction or something.
Yeah, and that's what your clients feel like,
Yeah.
and that's what we feel like when all that happens. But anyway, yeah. So when you start throwing in a bunch of other people and emailing this, I mean, we don't have time for that. I'm just going to say it. I don't have time for that.
Well, especially don't make it my responsibility to get your people involved.
Our minds don't work like
I don't
that.
know who your people are, man. Like,
No, I'm dealing with you. Yeah. So no, I get that 100%. So yeah, pet peeves. So that's one of your pet peeves. That's one of my pet peeves too.
Yeah.
Another one of my pet peeves.
Okay.
And this can come from my side, or it can, or if I'm showing a house, is a seller being at the house.
Oh yeah.
Right. I understand why they want to be there. They think they're being helpful.
Yeah.
But it really hurts. It hurts. I mean, because it's all an emotional thing for these buyers. It's an emotional thing. And when they walk into a house, you want them to walk in there and in their mindset go, okay, will my couch fit here?
Yeah.
You know, oh, I can watch TV here, or the fireplace, you know, my family can eat here, you know, I can cook here.
Yeah.
If you have your seller, you know, telling you about everything, what's great about this house, they can't picture themselves in the house. They can just picture that seller in there, and it's a turnoff.
Well, it's distracting as well.
Yeah.
And not to mention all of a sudden now the seller has a lot to tell you about the house. They didn't tell you. So now you're like getting a call from the realtor, be like, oh, what does he mean that he replaced this? You're like, it's not a disclosure.
Yeah, I know, right?
You know,
yeah.
Now you're in a legal dispute. You know, so no, it's a big pet peeve.
Yeah. And so that's, you know, a few reasons why, you know, as real estate agent, we ask you not to be there, you know.
Yeah.
And I get it, you know, I have it sometimes, you know, towards the end, you know, I'm cool, you know.
Yeah.
If the sellers come in and kind of go over the whole property, you know, how to work everything. If it's kind of a weird property, you know, especially with like, you know, ranch style, larger properties, bigger homes.
And I know you work the lake a lot, so you probably get people coming from Prosper, Frisco, or California that are, you know, oh, this is where you do this at, and this is, you know, what dock you use, and so like having that kind of thing.
Yeah, just different thing. How, you know, if it's a weird mechanical type situation, you know, stuff at the property. Yeah, 100%. You know, that's cool. But I'll tell you what. So here's something funny. So my very first, I think it was my very first contract I wrote. It was at a house in Pottsboro, and I was representing the buyer, and we had the seller, and then the buyer and the seller wanted to meet the buyer.
Yeah.
Dude, they clashed.
Yeah.
I mean, bad. I mean, toward argument, curse words were.
Were you there for it?
No.
Yeah.
I wasn't. I was there in the emails, going back and forth.
Okay.
And so I was like.
So what was the reason they wanted to meet because I'm assuming y'all.
Because they were going to be neighbors.
Yeah. Okay.
So the seller wanted to meet the buyer.
Okay.
And they just didn't get along.
Did the deal fall through?
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, it fell through, big time. So, and what's funny about that story is, I had this black polo shirt on. You know, that was going to be my style, my shirt. After that one crashed, I threw it away.
Yeah, bad juju.
Yeah, because I took a picture, selfie, and I was in that picture with the house in the background.
Yeah.
That was my first sale. Yeah, it crashed and burned. So did that shirt.
It's like the Black Parade.
Yeah. So So anyway.
Oh man. Yeah. No, I think it's, unless it's like we're transferring non-realty items and everything like that. Y'all need to know each other. You know.
Yeah.
You know. So
there's a time and a place for it, but 99% of the time there's not.
And then like the realtor reach out, the buyer wants the seller's number because they're like, no, you don't. You know, like we're not doing that. So
and it happens.
Yeah,
so,
all the time.
Yeah,
all the time.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, another one.
I got another one on my little trusted notes here. This one's against realtors. So sorry, realtors.
Yeah.
But agents who use how much volume they sell, like to promote themselves.
Yeah.
Like you see them, they're like, we're closing.
Yeah.
10 million this month.
Yeah.
Another 8 million in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Like 100% get why you do it, but to me as a consumer, I'm like,
yeah,
like, bro, chill. Like, Get it?
Yeah, because sometimes as a buyer or seller, you're like, oh, well, you're well off, or you're bragging.
Yeah.
You know, you're more focused on how much money you're making,
Yeah.
right?
That's another part of
Versus
it, yeah. The
selling my
component,
house or helping me buy a house.
Yeah.
So
I'm
yeah,
just a number to you. I'm 3 GCI.
yeah,
So and not that everybody does it feels that way.
Yeah.
It's, it's in this industry you gotta kind of brag to set yourself apart and boast you and toot your own horn as
Yeah.
you will. And
I like that you use boast.
yeah, so boast.
So-
we get on like the
So one of my pet peeves is
you go in descriptions.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah
All right.
description boasting, stunning,
Yeah, cozy.
cozy. Yeah. So do you use AI sometimes to help you with your descriptions? So even AI, if you tell it,
Yeah.
if you're like, oh, you help me with this real estate description, blah blah blah, and you name whatever you want to, and it'll put in there boasting or stunning. I'm like, oh my god, come on now.
Yeah, it's just pulling from the
Yeah.
catchwords.
So it's
or whatever.
all the other ones. So.
Have you seen the ones that will just copy and paste it straight and put it in the description, and you can
And it
see
still has
it's
at the top.
Chat
No,
GPT.
I just had somebody text me today as an email,
Yeah.
and I looked at the top of it, and it said
Would
energetic.
would you like me to
exciting.
put this in a different tone?
Yeah,
for
yeah,
you?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
What are you talking?
Yeah. So I saw that when I first read it. I was like,
Yeah.
what are we talking about?
That's probably the realtor's third assistant writing
Yeah,
that form. So,
Yeah. So
so
that.
realtors, check your assistants.
So if we're sticking to pet peeves and realtors,
Yeah.
I'll go to back to what I said earlier. When you ask someone, what made you get into real estate, and they said, well, because I love to show houses.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a pet peeve and a red flag for me,
Yeah.
right? So
As a realtor that says it.
yeah, I think it's a pet peeve and a little bit of a red
Okay.
flag. So can I throw out another one that's not really real estate related?
Absolutely.
I've always wanted to tell people that this is my pet peeve.
Okay.
My wife knows it is. So like when you're in a parking lot,
Uh-huh.
we'll use Target since they're going to
Okay.
sponsor us.
Our first sponsor of the show, Target.
Yeah, Target. So you're in a parking lot
We'll be in red
shopping.
polos next time, by the way.
What's that?
For the next episode, we'll have red polos on.
Yeah. the little Targets. Or maybe we get the little dog. Oh, I have a
There you go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a little dog. We can put the Target sign. Anyway, so parking lots, right? So
Mhm.
you're driving in the parking lot, whether you're going to be parking or not, but someone walking in front of you
Mm-hmm.
diagonally
Okay.
across the parking lot, like where you're trying to drive and they're walking instead of cutting straight across
Mm-hmm.
and you can keep going.
Yeah.
They kind of walk in front of you the whole time,
Yeah.
diagonal.
Mosey, if you will.
Mosey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my pet peeve.
Yeah. No, that's a good one.
Not really real estate related, but
Could be.
Yeah.
You're trying to get your closing gift for your client,
yeah,
and they're just moseying through the
at
parking
Target. Yeah.
lot. At Target.
Yeah.
All closing gifts are bought at Target.
Yes. Thank you, Target.
Oh,
You have
we-
another one?
I mean, I could go all day. How much time do we got?
I don't know. What
Yeah, I mean, I got some more, but I mean, like, should I say them for some
yeah, well,
other segments or
Yeah.
other
so
podcasts?
that was our segment of
Pet
pet peeves brought to you by.
Target,
We'll probably get in trouble for that, won't we?
probably.
Yeah, because we're so big. And we have
Lone River Ranch Water.
we'll have a cease and desist letters coming.
Y'all please stop using Target.
So if you want to send those out, 400 West Main Street, number 104, Denison, Texas. Attention, Jeff. All right.
Let's get in line.
All right. So, hey, I think we finally made it through our first little.
Is that the first one?
I think so.
What do you think? How do you think it went?
I think it's all right.
Yeah.
We
Good.
can get a little edgier.
You think were we not edgy enough?
I don't think so. Maybe a little bit more. But we got to introduce ourselves.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe-
I'll bring the mezcal next time, and we'll
Yeah. We'll do this a little bit later at night.
A little later.
Yeah.
Wear the tux with the unbuttoned shirt, and
Yeah.
let's get it.
Show chest hairs and stuff like that.
Get
No,
some
it's kind of cool. Kind of
cigars going.
yeah, kind of cool. Meet you, learn a little bit more about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It'll be fun to. I'm excited to get people in the adjacent industries, and I'd really like to hear some of their pet peeves. Like what's a title person's pet peeve?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's realtors, but
Yeah, I know builders. I
I'm
know.
like, would you care to elaborate on that? Just realtors?
Yeah,
Just realtors.
just realtors in general. Builders, I know
Yeah.
for a fact, they do not like real estate agents.
Oh, I'm sure.
realtors, you know.
Yeah.
So is it realtor, or realtor?
It's just, technically it's realtor,
Yeah.
but most people are going to say realtors. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I want to get
And which is some
appraisers.
realtors' pet peeves is when you say realtor.
oh, I know.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll say realtor
Yeah.
because it is your pet peeve.
Do it on purpose.
Or just because somebody's telling me it has to be realtor.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just
Realtor.
me though. I'm always trying to go against the grain a little bit.
Just
That's kind of why we're doing this.
Just changing the pronunciation of words.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So that's it for our first little episode here.
Well,
Who we got coming up next? We do have a guest lined up.
We do. Next, I think we're doing this in a couple
the next
weeks
time we do
again.
this.
So, our buddy, I think you started using him recently. I'm OG, so he's my buddy. Valentine.
Yep.
With Jare Multimedia.
Multimedia. Yeah. So photographers. They
And
do
it's real
video.
estate related. Yeah. So.
Yeah, real estate related. And so what's funny is Chris Romaine here at the studio as well. Met him the other day.
Oh yeah.
He was shooting at the house he's just sold or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was out there shooting photos. So it's kind of a small world how all that.
Oh, okay. So you
out.
ran into Chris?
Yeah.
They knew each other? Or?
No.
Oh,
But they were just talking and then mentioned because he just left from taking photos at one of my new listings.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
he's busy. He's
yeah, it's good. He's good. Yeah. And I like him because he knows about the little marketing side and all that. So he's got some stories.
Yeah. No,
I'm sure.
I was talking to him the other day, and I was like, we need to save some of these for the podcast because we're going to waste all the good ones for just shooting the shit, you know. So.
Yep. That's cool. All right. Well, we'll end on that one. So I appreciate y'all hanging out wherever you're at. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Later.